Starting off the day right, nice and slow. You know, tapping in with Uma. Um, yeah, remembering the mama, the original, original heart and soul of my life. You know, I'm here now, um, reflecting on the beauty of life, you know, reflecting on the miracles, reflecting on how I'm changing, you know. I feel like I, I mean, I feel like I'm finishing my thought. I feel like there's, you know, perhaps a side of me that has been resistant to, resistant to, maybe, what can I say? It's been resistant to change in a way. I don't know, you know, because, yeah, that's the thing. The mind might, you know, I imagine the future, you know, and I picture myself, you know, in very different circumstances. And yeah, I guess that's the thing, you know. They say that, you know, the future, if you're thinking too much about the future and stuff like that. But at the same time, you can visualize, you know, manifestation and all that. So that's where I just speak my truth and kind of get it out, you know. Because, you know, yeah, the suffering, right? It's like suffering drives us deep, according to Eckhart Tolle. And yes, it is. There's a noble purpose in it. I can see that, you know, going over, you know, Freudian psychoanalysis and thinking about how, you know, we don't know all the time, you know, the nuances of the inner worlds of other people. So, you know, as much as we're enjoying ourselves, as much as we're, you know, living like, you know, blissful, joyous, you know, so forth. Other people, you know, may have an opinion, but sometimes it may be a valid feedback, you know. Anyway, jump into another topic here. It's all connected, but you gotta collect those breadcrumbs, you know what I'm saying? The battle of the sexes, right? That's something I was talking with my neighbor about last night. It's like, you know, are we conscious of, yeah, those sides of ourselves that are not always at the forefront of our awareness, you know, like we have these, we have these instincts, you know, like the id, the pleasure drive, you know what I mean? Drives us to, you know, stimulation, you know, we feel something, could be anything, you know, it could be simple things, it could be beautiful sunsets, it could be, you know what I'm saying, it could be like, you know, time with friends, it could be anything, but it could be other things, you know what I mean, vaping or whatever it might be. But then, you know, we develop an identity, the ego, you know, that says, oh, this is who I am, you know what I mean? The name and the face and the form, you know what I'm saying? And but in reality, you know, we are not just that, you know what I'm saying? There's the awareness which I understand is a superego, that can realize that those thoughts of the future, the past, or the present are still, you know, they're coming from memories, and the future could be a compensation of the past. You know what I'm saying? Um, like, oh, I want to, let's say, be rich, right? Or I want to, you know what I mean? I want a relationship, or, you know what I mean? So it's based on the feelings of, you know, like, oh, I want to be richer, right? That means I'm already rich, right? But, if it's like, you feel what I'm saying? It's like, you know, and that's where I feel like the suffering can drive you to success, you know what I'm saying? Because it reaches a boiling point where you're like, you just cannot, Eckhart Tolle mentions how, don't let yourself get fed up, right? But I think you can take action, take but that's the thing, like the definitions, the labels, sometimes I feel like is kind of the difficulty. And that's where for me, just speaking my mind is helpful because, it just airs it out, you know what I'm saying? To me, it feels like it's transparency, it's honesty, you know what I mean? And I know what it's like to, hold on a second, what's happening here? I got some calls I got to take care of in a little bit, but for the moment, I'm here. And, so the suffering, but that's the thing, it's like, yeah, and I'm trying to like really, really, digest this, because I think that like we could be motivated, right, by the suffering that we hear about on the news. We could be motivated by, like, yeah, the natural instinct to want to help, right, to want to do something. However, this is where a kind of dilemma may arise, because I think that the energy that we are, the energy that we are, being truly present, being truly, accepting, or truly, in our best, in our best version of ourselves, in our energy, in our pure essence. It's like, we kind of bring that into the world. When our attention is on the suffering, it makes us, it kind of alarms us. And so there's that balance, you know what I mean? Because, for me, it has been something to ignore that, it has been something to just tune it out, to feel like, well, what can I do? What is there for me to do over there? Like, what can I actually do? And I've heard that a lot of people will say that, and again, even like the leaders, what I'm saying, Eckhart Tolle's or whatever, what I'm saying, they'll be like, don't let the energy vampires steal your positivity, your presence, whatever. And so, and I feel like that's true, you know what I mean? At the same time, that balance, you know what I mean? Because something has got to be done, but I guess the thing is that like that's where the suffering, what I mean, like, because I think that when I've seen this in my own life, when somebody is given something, or when somebody is rescued, or I mean, it's a mix, because again, sometimes it's necessary, sometimes you're the only one that can do it, what I mean, the answer somehow, you have the capacity to do something. But sometimes it's like, you're doing too much. It's like, sometimes it's like, I mean, I remember, when I was trying to go out to Ukraine, you know what I'm saying, and I wasn't able to go because I haven't had combat experience, and it's like, without the proper skills and abilities, you could jeopardize, the well-being, the safety, the precision necessary for your team, you know. Um, and that's where, there is that balance to be struck, to be mindful of. Um, and anyway, I was just I was just on one of my Aki's lives. Wonderful brother who is trying to help break down the rigidity of religion, trying to bring some real truth into the ummah. You know what I mean? Trying to help um, people understand how the pen is mightier than the sword. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like appreciating the simple things. Understanding the power of knowledge. All these types of things, and I was communicating to him the same thing, like about like consciousness and you know, like the language. It's language, because I mean he's an Aki, he's a part of the Ummah and everything. So he's like, he goes to Allah. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's like we're now living in a time where smartphones, technology is, just a part of our lives. So, you know, yeah, I feel like, we can't, we got to deal with it somehow. You know what I'm saying? So, bear with me here. I'm just gonna take a moment. But I will say this though. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the cycles. You know, when you have that situation where there is a, you know, rescue that occurs, or, what I'm saying, you help somebody, you could be feeding a dependency. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel like I mean, I don't want to say it, but I feel like it's tricky. You know what I mean? I feel like the best answer is usually to relax, know it will be well. You know, not, come from a place of knowing, come from a place of calm, come from a place of, you know, faith. You know what I mean? I feel like that is generally a good thing to double down on. Just breathe and, I mean, give yourself the grace that a higher power, that that consciousness, the connection, what I'm saying, the holistic consciousness will be able to come in and deal with it, in a way that is best, and yeah, to me that feels like a good thing to double down on. So yeah, but again, it's something for each of us to go into for ourselves. So there we go. I'm just going back out now. Pee pee poo poo. I don't know if you heard the new Drake song, "Give Me a Hug." It came out about 6 days ago, and I just listened to it, and yeah, I wonder what you think, because I'm not gonna say it's his best. I feel like you can hear a lot of his coping with all the backlash that he's been receiving. Um, so he's getting into his singing ways. He's talking to the ladies he needs to love, right? Who don't, what I'm saying. Um, so it's interesting. I mean, it's not Do Not Disturb. That's I play that on loop. What I'm saying, because it's so good, that beat. You know what I mean? It's not Signs. It's not a lot of, not one of my favorites of his. It hasn't instantly hit, which usually, when something is what I really enjoy, it usually does. I mean, by Drake, I would say especially, it usually does. I kind of feel it immediately. Um, I did listen, to "Man in the Garden," um, Kendrick's song from his new released album, and it's motivating. It's refreshing. Um, yeah, I've been kind of dissecting, some of his lyrics, and kind of getting a clearer picture of his life path. And yeah, I mean, once again, I will say that the reason why he's considered the GOAT, the reason why popular demand, popular opinion commands him as the commander, right? Commander in chief of the craft, is that he does expose himself. I feel like a lot. He is able to be vulnerable. He's able to be authentic. Um, because you can hear that in his new tracks. Whether it's Reincarnated or I'm saying Man in the Garden. He's I mean, to me, it's like you could have heard that. I mean, a lot of people didn't like Mr. Morale, or it wasn't people's favorite album, but I felt like you could hear that there. You could hear it before. I mean, again, to me, this is one of his defining qualities. And but I will say, I mean, like, I don't feel like it's absent from Drake. I feel like, you know, Drake was, yeah, very mysteriously able to launch into crazy success and crazy stardom so fast that I guess, people, it's hard to relate, what I'm saying? They're like, I mean, oh, you break your heart again, Drake, and stuff like that. Well, it's like, I mean, he's overly sensitive and all this stuff, but it's like, well, I mean, that is him, going into his story too. But anyway, people gotta, you know, people do what they do. Um, but people, and like my brother man, what I'm saying? He says, people keep on peopling. um, but anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna have to listen to it again. I feel like yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not his worst piece. Um, yeah. But back to me, okay. Um, back to me now. Um, yeah, in the battle of the sexes, you know what I'm saying? Um, the conscious court. That's what I was getting to last night with my neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, coming back to what I was saying, we just doubled down on the breath. You know what I'm saying? Just let it go. You know what I mean? We let it flow. You know what I mean? That's what my mom said. We learning to flow, baby. You know what I mean? So yeah, we float. You know, we float on the throne. You know what I'm saying? El Fantasma. Because who owns the throne? You know what I'm saying? If it's a goat, then, well, that's not human. That's not God, right? The goat cannot own the throne. The throne is merely a place that keeps your booty warm. And, so my point here with the, about the sexes is just that, like, I guess, for me, that's the thing. I remember, for me growing up, like my mind, I feel like, I do go to absolute terms and ways, because there are absolute forces in the world. You know, the absolute force of yang and the absolute force of yin. It is a complete, part of reality. That's what I'm talking about. So those forces need dance, you know what I'm saying? The forces need the music to enjoy, each other, you know what I'm saying? So in the court, there are speakers, understand? In the court, there are musicians. In the court, there is a judge, right, who says, "You're dancing with the stars, baby." You understand what I'm saying? Because that's, like, if you do not know, you know what I'm saying? If you do not know that, we are, you know, cosmologically connected, that we are, what I'm saying, like, we are light, you know what I'm saying, we are dark. The dark, you know what I'm saying, that's one thing. I talked to a sister of mine the other day, and we were talking about how sometimes, we need the shade to grow, you know what I'm saying? And because, I mean, that's why I always go to, like, the language thing. It's like, I mean, yeah, absolute terms, right? Like light and dark and stuff like that. But the balance, is so important, because if you have too much light, you burn. If you have too much dark, you wither, right? So while we can be aware of those absolutes, we must be able to groove with those absolutes. See, you get music when you can flow with those, with that, with those, you know what I'm saying, those, those vibes, right? And and that's the thing, though. I guess, like, yeah, kind of integrating what I'm saying, kind of bringing it together. You know what I mean? Like, the understanding that, suffering is part of life, and that there is a core consciousness and a cosmic consciousness, and that we are, part of it, and not, not all of it at once, obviously, you know what I mean? We do have to kind of know our place in it, you know what I'm saying? So not being boxed in, but, knowing how to communicate, right? Knowing how to say please, knowing how to say thank you, knowing how to say, um, ladies first, I mean, communicate, what I'm saying, with touch, communicate with different things. Because the battle of the sexes, I feel like, is not won by brutality. You know what I mean? The battle of the sexes is not um, won by cowardice, but it is won by you know the courage of your inner compass. Your inner compass that says to you in a still small voice a lot of times that you know all was well, all is well, and all will be well, and all things work for the glory of God. You know what I mean? Because again, it's like it adds to the story. The scars give you character. Um, I mean, I will say this, for me, the surrender state of absolute bliss. I mean, I feel like you know it. I feel like that's the thing. We cannot be addicted to the pain either. The scars might, be flashy and might attract, might give you character and conversation topic. But, you know, that too, is something that can lose its appeal, to even the owner of the scar. So, all I'm saying is that, yeah, that, in knowing ourselves, knowing ourselves, all will be well, so I'm gonna take another break here. Bear with me. You know what? I think I do gotta make a couple calls and whatnot. So let me let this go here. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. All the best. Peace.